Hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to another D2D Spotlight. I'm Kevin Tumlinson, one of the D2D team here, and I'm actually chatting with someone I've chatted with before on other podcasts and at live events. I'm talking to Timothy Cerepaka, and we're gonna be chatting up about writing cross genre. That's something Timothy does. So, welcome to the show, man. I appreciate you being on.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Now, for everybody listening, everybody watching and listening, if you're watching live, hello, and you're probably on Facebook and or YouTube. So feel free to ask us anything. We are going to take your questions live at the last 15 minutes of the broadcast. So pop in, put a question in the comments, and I'll see it and ask it later. And if you're listening to the podcast, hello, and you're not going to get to ask your questions live, but you can always pop on over and submit questions on the YouTube version of the show. And we'll get to those as well. So, okay, let's get started, man. So, we already had sort of our pre-show chat about everything we've been doing since we've been hanging out at home more. You and I both we're full-time at home anyway, so our lives didn't change much. But I'm really curious about the whole writing cross-genre thing, because I myself have written cross-genre quite a bit. Didn't see as much traction in the other genres, but you're actually doing like lit RPG and superhero stories, right?
Yeah, it's something I did last year, and I've got another LitRPG superhero series coming out hopefully this year, but maybe next year, we'll see. But yeah, I wrote. So last year I wrote a 7-book series called Capes Online. It's a superhero lit RPG crossover series, and it did reasonably well. It's not like the biggest seller ever, but it was my best series for last year. It's one of my and the first book was one of my best like launches ever in terms of when I launched the first book in February of last year. Um, so yeah, it was a lot of fun, and it's been like I said, plan to go back to superhero lit RPG hopefully sometime soon. And yeah, so I started writing it because I always wanted to get into lit RPG, but my pen name Lucas Flint, which is where I write all my superhero stuff under. It's mostly I've branded my Lucas Flint as like a superhero name.
Okay.
So I write pretty much superhero books, and so I was trying to figure out how to do get into the RPG while also staying true to my pen name superhero brand. And so I eventually noticed that there's a lot of like crossover between superhero and lit RPG readers. Like you'll see a lot of lit RPG books on the superhero lists, and even my own readers expressed an interest in me doing a superhero lit RPG series. So I did my research. I already knew how to write superheroes, but lit RPG I was not as familiar with. So I just did my research there and delved into the genre and found out the tropes and stuff. Basically writing the market. And then I took the lit RPG tropes and combined them with superhero stuff, and it readers seemed to like it, so it did really well, and I had a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah, and it's so I'm interested in the those genres. I've kind of dipped my toes in those waters a little with a couple of my books, but haven't really like just taken the deep dive. Do you think that those genres specifically are they beneficial if you're going to write cross genre? Is that one way to make it a little easier to succeed in it, or could your methods work with other genres?
I think it works with my specific like niche, because superhero RPG is a niche within the greater like RPG genre. So I'm not the only one who's doing it. There are others who have done it. They're not quite as popular as like normal RPGs like Dungeons and Dragons or World of Warcraft, fantasy type stuff.
Right.
So, but there's definitely people who like their RPG and superhero stuff. And like I said, there's already crossover. People who like reading superhero stuff and also like reading the RPG. It's like there's some crossover there already. What actually helped me was I was looking at the Calytics report for superhero books and from 2019, and I saw that there was a lot of like searches for game lit and lit RPG stuff, and that helped me. So I don't know if it would necessarily work for other cross genres. Like if you're working in a genre and you notice this, because like I said, that's the main reason I did, because I noticed that there was a market for this type of cross genre fiction.
Right.
So
And
I
you
don't
mentioned
know.
this earlier. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, so I don't know. I guess if you see like there's some real demand for it, then it's probably worth a shot. I guess you can always just write it if you want. Whether or
Yeah.
not there's a whether you've seen it in the market or not.
So you used a swear word earlier, and
Oh, I
it
did.
was right to market.
Oh,
And that some people think that is a hideous phrase, but
yeah.
why don't you talk a little bit about, because you also mentioned K-lytics and some other things you use to research that. Like how do you approach writing to market? What does it mean to you?
So to me, writing to market means basically giving readers what they want. Readers of a it's not just like trying to write to all readers of story, but to particular readers. Like if you want to write sell fantasy readers, you need to like um, read whatever the most popular best-selling fantasy books are, and study them and understand what readers like about them, and try to include at least some of that in your own work. It doesn't necessarily mean
Right.
writing like carbon copies of whatever the latest bestseller is or whatever, but it means understanding what do readers expect in this type of fiction in this genre or niche or whatever, and then trying to deliver that in your story. And also like pay attention to covers and blurbs and
Right.
even pricing, and all that can play a role in knowing what the market, finding out what the market wants. Like when I did my research for LitRPG, like I just read as many LitRPG books as I could until I understood it. And I also got involved in some Facebook LitRPG groups and just pay attention to what readers were saying. They're like what they wanted and what they liked and disliked. Definitely definitely not an easy process, because you have to think about it and figure out what do most readers want versus is this just the complaint from one particular person. But if you take all the data, just get as much data as you can, look at the overall trends, and then
Yeah.
take that into account when you're writing your book and publishing it and marketing it.
What are some of the tools you're using to do that research?
I've used well, I'll look at like bestseller lists on Amazon. That's a good top 100 bestseller lists, or can be a good place to find books to read in your genre. Best-selling books. Of course, not every book in the top 100 is necessarily like they're. It might be for marketing or whatever, but still, that's usually a reliable way to do it. And services like K-lytics or basically like Publisher's Rocket, Publisher Rocket software could help you find uh, you know books to study. It really does come down to the books, in my opinion. Like actually reading in whatever genre you want to be writing in, and or want to write to market in, and doing that research yourself. Um, talk and also, like I said, Facebook. There's some Facebook RPG groups I was a part of and participated in, and took into account some of that feedback. But yeah, for me, the big thing was just reading the books, and then taking reading them like a reader would, basically, and trying to figure out you know why readers like these books so much and what they expect and so on.
Yeah. So you've got multiple pen names, right? How many pen names are you writing under?
I have, well, I only have one act. I've had like 4 pen names, but only one active one at the moment. Like Lucas Flint
Okay.
is my active one because it sells the best, and it's mostly superhero stuff with some summer branches to the RPG as of last year. And there's Timothy Cerepaka, my real name, which is epic fantasy, sword, sorcery, stuff like that. And TL Cerepaka has urban fantasy, and then I have a old science fiction pen name TL Charles, but that's
Yeah.
but yeah,
How
none, all the other ones are currently not active. Lucas Flint's the only one that's really active at the moment.
yeah. How challenging is it to manage all those pen names? Do you have
I
to
don't.
like maintain separate lists? No, you don't. You just focus on Lucas Flint.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the easiest way to do it. I mean, all those other names do or did have like separate websites and lists and social media and stuff. I don't really, since I'm not really publishing under those names, and I don't really maintain them all that much.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if they were active, I guess it would be a lot more work. And I might come back to some of those pen names. I'm not saying I'll never ever, but just right now I'm not.
Yeah. I mean, what was behind the decision to do that though? With instead of writing everything under your actual name, or picking one pen name and writing everything.
Originally, because I started publishing under my real name, and I didn't really sell all that well under it. So in 2016, I learned about superhero novels, superhero market, and I decided I wanted to try to jump into that, but I didn't want to like I guess I want a fresh start, basically, like with Lucas Flint, because I want to start off with just new name and new everything, just to see if the superhero stuff would work. If it didn't, then I could cut my losses and just go back to fantasy and stuff. I've always liked the name Lucas Flint, and it's like it doesn't come from anyone in particular. I just sort of thought up one day. I was like, that'd be a cool name. I mean, I like my real name, but like I said, you seem to like Lucas Flint better than Timothy Cerepaka. So
yeah. Well, who knows why? People are funny. Maybe they just don't know how to pronounce it, and so they lose their minds. I think I probably lose readers because who knows how to pronounce Tumlinson.
Yeah, I know it's complicated.
Yeah, 9 letters, 3 syllables. So you have got you've got kind of how many books do you have out right now?
Oh, that's too many to count. Maybe with all different under all my pen names, not counting like box sets and stuff, maybe over 70 books. 70 some odd books. That's I'll have to check. I actually do have all my books and paperbacks on a shelf right here, but I don't know if I'm gonna count them all right now. But yeah,
you good? We'll wait. No, that was the most boring podcast ever. Yeah, no, that's quite a bit. And you're full time, right?
Yep. Been full time since.
What was the progression? Like, what were you doing before you became full time, and at what point did you decide to take the leap?
Before I was just, basically just, living with my parents and doing various, sometimes I do yard work for people and stuff, but my focus was on getting my writing career off the ground. It's like I've always wanted to be a writer, and I've done. I was also I worked for this African American hair marketing company. Like I was the secretary to the boss of that company for a while. So I did, schedule appointments and sent out emails and did calls and all that stuff. So that was primarily what I did. But then, I left after a while. It was an interesting job while I had it. It helped me, get over my fear of phone calls. Because I was telecommuting, so I had to call people. But yeah, I like writing better.
Yeah. So, did you when you started writing and publishing, did you have to reach like a certain financial level before you went full time? And
I set a goal for myself, and I admit it took me 2 years from the time I published my first book in 2014 to 2016 when when my first superhero book came out, and that took off and did well enough for me to do it, be full time basically.
Yeah, so that's 6 years of churning out, man.
I just realized that myself recently. Like, wow, I've been doing this for 6 years.
More than half a decade. Everybody has to do everything in decades. That's excellent, man. So let's look at your let's peek at your daily routine then. Like, let's start with your writing routine. Like, do you use any special software, or what's your process?
I do write in a Scrivener. I don't, do any outlines or anything like that. I'm kind of a pantser. I don't go completely into the dark because I usually like to have some ideas. Like, I like to know who the protagonist is, the antagonist, the conflict setting, and any like supporting characters or whatever. So as long as I have that, and maybe some general ideas about where I'd like to take the book. So as long as I have that basic stuff, I can just write a book. I've become more deliberate in my plotting approach over the years. It used to be less so when I was younger, but recently I've taken more so learning more about the plot structure and stuff. But so with all that, then I write a couple hours a day. About 6,000 words a day is my goal, 5 days a week. And then the rest of my days filled with things like editing, marketing, or maybe doing interviews like this on draft. And
that's
just
that's the part
whatever else.
that authors don't like to hear, by the way, is that you spend like 2 to 3 hours writing each day, and then the rest of your day is marketing.
Or sending out emails or editing or formatting, whatever.
I don't know though. I've kind of found that I kind of enjoy some of the marketing. I always enjoy marketing. Marketing can be kind of a pain sometimes. Sometimes it's kind of repetitious or tedious or whatever. But for the most part, the marketing can be a way to shift my brain off of the fiction for a little bit, and I can do something a little different. So so let's talk about your marketing. Like what do you do to market your work? I mean, you're full time, so whatever you're doing is working. So people are going to want to know.
Well, I tend to follow the belief that the best way to market your book is the next book. That's old, that saying. So that's one of the reasons why I'm so prolific, is that writing and publishing frequently is my best marketing tool. But I do other things. So I do run AMS ads, which I'm so at, I guess, at best. I'm not really the best of those. Trying to make those work. I've used BookBub ads. I haven't really run any recently, but that's for other reasons. But I've done BookBub ads to sell some books. I've used paid promo sites like FreeBooksy and places, Fussy Library and places like that. Still haven't gotten a BookBub featured deal, but I keep keep submitting. And I've been meaning to get into Facebook ads. I just haven't gotten to doing that yet. But I also posted my website and my social media, and I've also been doing I've got a newsletter and like everyone else, and I do like book funnel group giveaways to increase it, and I do a mixture of like newsletter giveaways and pay sales for book funnel stuff. So
those have been very helpful. I really appreciate that service, actually, the book funnel promos. And we had Damon Courtney on this show. He was actually the very first D2D Spotlight. So shout out. And the promotions are relatively new, but I haven't used them as much as I could. But I've over the past month I've been using them more, and they're very impressive. You find a lot of traction with them?
I've gotten some subscribers, and it's hard to tell with sales whether they work or not. But I do think they do, because I've done some like retailer specific ones in the past, like for Barnes & Noble and Apple, and then I've seen like sales moving on those platforms, which is really helpful because I was KU exclusive for my superhero stuff for a long time, but last year I started moving some of my superhero stuff wide, and I've been trying to build that up too, so I can. So that's been helpful.
As a strategy, has that been working for you? Like, are you seeing the income replaced when you go wide with those early books?
I'm starting to. It's still not quite as much as Amazon. And Amazon's still the lion's share of my income, but I am starting to see growth. Wide. It's sort of a long-term thing, as wide tends to be, and but the results have been pretty good so far in helping these books, that were not doing as well in Amazon anymore, even, since it's been on there for so long, starting to find a new audience, I think. Especially, Kobo especially been very good for me, because I keep using their ads. The Kobo ads are, they have so many books, they just keep submitting, and they tend to seem to like my books, so they keep accepting my books for their promos. So
good. That's good news. You're not even Canadian.
Yeah, I know.
There goes that rumor.
Well, actually, my grandparents actually did come from Canada.
Okay.
So,
but you're in Texas, which is the Canadian. That's the Canada of the U.S.
Yeah, a little warmer than Canada.
A little warmer, especially during the summer, especially around this time. Actually, it's been getting a little steamy outside. We'll say. I don't know about what part. What part of Texas are you in?
I'm in Central Texas, like out in the hill country. So
Your
the
Michael
weather's
Bunker's
actually,
neighbor.
huh? Oh yeah, Michael. Yeah, I guess he's out here somewhere. I haven't
He's
seen
out there
him,
somewhere.
but
Yeah. You guys will run into each other one day, and it'll be awkward.
yeah, I don't think I've actually met Michael. So I saw the DTD interview you did with him, so that was good.
Yeah.
It was interesting.
Yeah. So, all right. So you've been churning out books. Are you when you release books now? Are you releasing into KU or are you releasing wide?
They go into all my new books go into KU first,
Okay.
and then
What's your
maybe
strategy?
later on. Yeah, so later on I'll maybe take them wide, maybe like a year or so later. It just depends. I pay attention to how books are selling, in KU, and if their sales are starting to not, or if they're getting that many page reads or whatever, then I decide, it's time to take it wide and
Yeah.
see how it goes. I actually
And
just
then-
recently took a series wide. It's been this month, so it's been. And I've got free Booksy for that series scheduled for June 1st, so we'll see if that'll get stuff going. Since free Booksy, they got readers from all the different sites or stores.
So when you take books out of KU, and you're leaving them on Amazon, obviously, but what does that impact the unit sales of each book when you take them out of Kindle Unlimited?
Um, Not really. I mean, maybe a little bit, but like I said, I always go for I generally move books out of KU that have already been like sales haven't been that great or have been sort of on the decline for a while. So even if Amazon sales decline, usually it's like the wide sales will pick up a little bit, and make make up for that generally. So it's um, but yeah, it's just. I just want to try to diversify my income is my main goal, and
Right.
you know,
That's smart. I mean, that's what we should all do. We don't want to be dependent on any given sales channel all the time.
yeah, yep, definitely.
What about so unit sales seem to stay the same? What about page reads? Is when you pull a book out of KU, do you see any of that drop off?
Well, since I'm always taking I am taking books up, I'm always putting new books in. So my KU page reads, they might they sort of go down. They might go down a little bit at first, but since I'm always putting new books in, they do generally stay pretty stable. Like I had a
I just had a. I'm sorry. I think my brain just clicked to the fact that if you take it out of KU, you're not getting paid for page reads anymore. So
I've also been writing. Yeah, like some of my new releases have been longer recently too. So that's longer equals more page reads. So even if I have fewer books in KU, if those books are longer than normal, then that can sort of make up for the lost income, or taking those shorter older books out. So
yeah. Real quick, I just want to remind everybody, and coming up in about 5 minutes, we're going to start taking all your questions live. If you're on the podcast, sorry, you can pop over to YouTube and ask us a question, and we'll answer it in the comments there. Or if you can find this on Facebook, which you're welcome to do, you can do the same thing on Facebook. So, sorry, Timothy, just got that's the break in for the question announcement part of the program.
yeah.
So cool. I'm excited to hear that you at least have a strategy for peeling away from KU, and then it seems like it's working. How many of your 70 books are now? What's the ratio now of books in KU to books that are wide?
Thinking about that, I'll see. Yes, probably about 30 or 40% of my books might be, maybe like 30-35% might be wide now. Maybe 40. I'm not sure the exact percentage, but I'm just sort of slowly moving it, because that's something I wanted to do, is that I didn't want to just go wide without a plan, which is the problem I see with some people who are KU only, and then they decide they want to go wide, and they don't. Like before I did that, I spent a lot of time like studying wide and you know uh, how to market that way and how different platforms worked, and talk to some of the representatives at places like Nink and stuff from different storefronts to get an idea of what they're like. And so, yeah, like I said, I had to, I didn't want to jump into it and just flounder about it. I came up with a plan and put into action, and I've been obviously changing along as I go, depending on how things have gone. But it's so far it seems to be doing well, working all right. So just gonna keep it up and keep a long term view, because that's what I always hear from people, is that why it takes a while to get going. And I think it's generally true. It's interesting to see which platforms my books do better on than others. Like Google and Kobo tend to be my best wide platforms, but Apple and Nook aren't quite as good. But yeah,
Why do you think
just
that is?
I'm not sure. Interesting thing with Google is that's always been like, even when I was back in KU, my superhero stuff was all in there. My fantasy, epic fantasy, sword and sorcery backlist was still just selling on Google Play. And so I don't know why that is, other than I have a lot of permafrees on Google Play, and I guess Google readers like permafrees, and they'll go on and buy the rest of the books in the series. And with Kobo, like I said earlier, it's probably the ads, because I keep pushing the ads, getting placements in their promos and stuff. So I think that helps keep my books in front of readers. But with Nook and Apple, I just haven't really found a way to like market to them specifically. I think it's a problem there.
Yeah. That's everybody's problem, I think.
Yeah.
Or maybe that's Apple's problem. Apple's problem is you can't figure out how to market to Apple readers. That's Apple's problem, right? Because why is that our problem? I mean, we Apple should be, and they do run promotions. So are you able to get involved in any of the promotions?
I haven't really been able to, but I did recently. I hope you'll forgive me for this, but I originally distributed my books through DTD to get to Apple, but when Apple opened up Direct, I moved a lot of my books over Direct. So if you want me to,
No, go ahead.
Yeah, because I have a PC, not a Mac guy, so I was excited when I saw that. But so I hope you'll forgive me for that.
We'll forgive you. What's and what's been the result? Have you seen any upticks?
I just did it last week, I think. So I haven't really seen any movement there yet, but I do have like a free booksy coming up tomorrow for another series. That will, so we'll see if that will get some, permafrees going, and see if that will lead to follow-on sales for the next books. So.
Yeah. Do you use permafree? You got some permafree books?
Oh yeah, permafree. That's like my main wide tactic, I guess, is permafree. I know
really?
Yeah, I know people disagree about whether it's good or not. Maybe it's not as good as it used to be, but I still find it's effective, especially wide.
What is the strategy there? How are you using it?
I just sort of, set the first book in series are free, and run promos on it occasionally, or run ads to it, like BookBub ads. I've used BookBub ads to push permafree.
When you run the BookBub apps for your ads, not abs, ads for your free books, do you mention that it's permafree, or do you make it sound like it's free for a limited time? Or
I just put free, so I don't. So
you just step over that whole mess altogether.
Yeah, so it's like, it's free. Just go get it if you want it.
I like people to. I like to just allude to, this is free for a limited time, and I may change it from free later.
Yeah,
just put that FOMO in there. You don't want to miss out on this deal.
I might want to try that at some point, but like I said, I haven't. But yeah, it's but I also just sort of let them trickle along. You have, even when you're not advertising your books perma-free, they still tend to trickle along, and you'll get some follow-on sales from there. But yeah, I like to. Oh, and of course in Kobo, I'll have my perma-frees through their ads, so there's that. But yeah, it's just sort of doing paid promos or BookBub ads, and just sort of letting things trickle along, slow but steady.
Well, we're here. We are at the last 15 minutes. I promised everybody that they could ask any questions they wanted, so we're gonna hop over to the comments. And there's a couple of these that are aimed specifically at D2D, and I'm just gonna couple of them are very similar. So I'm just going to pop one of them up. And how about this one? This is the shorter one. But it's they're asking, it says, I'm confused. Help. Is there a way I can use KDP and D2D? And the answer to that is yes, as long as you're not exclusive to Amazon in their KDP Select program. So if you're distributing to Amazon and you're going direct to Amazon, you can use us to distribute everywhere but Amazon, but you cannot be exclusive to Amazon when you do it. So if you're registered for the KDP Select program, that's when we keep saying Kindle Unlimited or KU, we're actually talking about KDP Select, which is Amazon's exclusivity program. So there, we've got that answered. And let's pop on over and see. This was a question about pen names. We kind of talked about this, Timothy, but is it best to always use different pen names for different genres? And if so, will that mean you need to have different social media accounts for each name, which could be a lot of work? I agree that it could be a lot of work, but how do you see that?
Yeah, I guess sometimes it depends on how close the genres are. I mean, that's the standard answer, and it's generally true in my experience that there are a lot of reasons why you can use a pen name. If it's like science fiction and fantasy, it's like they're very close together that you could probably write both into the same pen name if you want, and it wouldn't be a problem. But if it's something like really different or something like erotica and children's fiction or something like that, you want to have different pen names. And also,
that's a given, yeah.
yeah, I know it's or something like that. If you want to keep your adult stuff away from your younger, child stuff or whatever. And if you want, having different social media accounts and stuff, it depends on how much you want to, like you could just have, you probably wouldn't need, like, say if you might need a different social media accounts for each name, but and that's definitely a lot of work. I should know because I have tried to have two active pen names at once, so it's definitely a lot of work. And but you can also just have it on your website. Like some people put their pen names together on the website, but just list them differently. So
Everyone always seems to want to keep that secret, like it's your secret identity. And maybe for some, in the instance of the children's books versus erotica, that's probably necessary. Or if you have maybe something sensitive in your life that you don't want disrupted, like maybe you're a minister who writes erotica by night, or something like that.
Or
yeah.
or like a doctor writing medical fiction or a lawyer writing legal fiction or something like that. You don't want
it could be taken as advice, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, or you don't want your clients reading your stuff and thinking that you're writing about them or something. Yeah,
that's true too. Okay, so liability issues might require a pen name, but or you just think it sounds cool, like Lucas Flint.
Yeah, like me.
I have secret pen names. Nobody knows what they are either. I'm not going to tell anybody.
Okay.
And one of them outperforms me,
Oh, wow.
which is a little annoying.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to see people talk about them too. And I keep mum on the whole subject. Yeah. Let's play guess the pen name. If you can guess the pen name,
Stephen King.
Stephen King. You nailed it on the first try.
Yeah.
I somehow managed to travel back in time and write books before I was even born.
Mm-hmm.
So Alyssa asks, do you write all novel length or do you write some short stories as well?
The vast majority of my work are full-length novels, anywhere from like 50,000 words to well over 100,000 depending on the book. I have written some novellas and some short fiction, but the problem is that novels do sell best, and I'm just not as good at writing like short fiction as I am at writing novels. Like I would like to get better at that, but I just find a struggle to like write like a 3,000, 5,000, 8,000, however a long short story and get that all wrapped up in one story and not this short fiction is definitely an art, and it's. I mean, there's obviously similarities to novels and short stories, but still, it's like that length. It constrains things and makes it.
I have this theory though, because the 3-act structure is you want a book or a movie or whatever to have a beginning, middle, and an end. And I feel like a short story, you just throw out the middle.
Yeah,
like it's nothing but beginning and end.
Yeah, that's
probably
accurate.
not.
Oh yeah, well, that's how it feels at least.
That's how I feel sometimes. Yeah, you can't do all the development stuff. You basically have to come in. So maybe you throw out the beginning. You throw out one of the 3 parts. That's what you're going to do. Because if you throw out the beginning, you're probably going to start in the middle of the problem, the middle of the action, right? So that makes sense. You're going to start in the middle of the action and you're going to resolve it. So there's your short story. You threw out the beginning, but you got to pick one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So are you? I assume. I just sort of assumed, but you can confirm this. So you're writing series, right? Like through line stories. Do they continue from book to book, or is each book standalone?
Each book. There's most of my series do have an overarching like plot or conflict, but there's also each book obviously its own individual plot and story too. So most of my stuff is generally like I said, it's generally like has the series long arc. Every book needs to be read in order. You can't pick up like book 4 and understand necessarily what's going on unless you
Do you feel like that works against you? That people can't come in on book 4?
No, I don't know. No one seems to be complaining so far.
No one's complaining, but you when I think about it in terms of the marketing, you have to always market the first book.
Exactly.
So in some ways that's simpler, but then people see it, they become used to it. They I've already tried that book. They don't come in on the new books, So do you market the rest of your series? I'm genuinely curious about this because I write my series so that people can come in from any point.
Yeah.
But it does mean having to market every book.
Yeah.
Or market the newest book or something. But I can market every book individually if I want.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's I mean, obviously you could buy other books in the series, but it makes more sense if it's from the first book. But yeah, I'm not sure if it's hurt me that much. I mean, obviously when I have a new release, I'll market it and promote it, even if it's like book 7 in a series or something like that, or whatever, book 4. But I just
might prompt people to go start the series.
Huh?
That might prompt people to go start the series from the beginning.
Yeah. That's part of the logic there, is that they'll see the next later book, maybe selling well or an ad or something, and then they'll go back and start from the beginning, maybe. So
we got another question from Charles here. It seems to me you have to have 100% or thousands. I'm sorry, 100,000s. Hundreds or thousands. Okay, hundreds of thousands. I'll get this right, Charles.
Yeah.
You have to have hundreds of thousands of page reads on KU to make any money. Is that so?
I think it's pretty accurate. If you want, like, since you're only getting paid like what, close to half a cent, just under half a cent per page.
It's like a hundredth of a cent, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, something like that. You do need to have a lot of page reads in order to start making some, serious cash. So, yeah, I guess
it does add up.
Huh?
It does add up. I mean,
it does add up. Yes,
got an audience. I wouldn't say that the bulk of my income comes from page reads at this point. My sales outstrip page reads, but it is a nice cushion.
Yeah.
So
yeah, my income's like, I guess, close to like 50-50 right now.
Yeah.
In terms of page reads, it's obviously changed since I started taking things wide and increasing my wide presence. But yeah, I think that's about it right now.
Yeah. And I think as you go wide, page reads don't matter as much when you are wide if you're fully wide. But if you're kind of, I'm doing the same thing you are. Like I've got books in and out, trying to kind of keep a bigger chunk of income coming in. It's hard to walk away from that money, but I also do not like at all being dependent on Amazon. So
Yeah,
what are you gonna do? A balance to strike. This was one of the people who asked about Kindle earlier. I just wanted to throw it up here. Publishing my ebook with D2D, I think it will not affect my book in Amazon, and that's true. It won't. If you are, I'm going to answer the question as my brain wants to interpret it instead of the question I know he's asking. But if you are distributing to both Amazon and to other markets, if you distribute to Amazon directly and to other markets through D2D, you aren't going to be cannibalizing sales or anything. Your sales on other platforms aren't taking away sales on Amazon. In other words, those readers are going to, I know that's not exactly the question he's asking, but I felt like maybe this is a good time to throw that in.
Yeah.
You're not taking sales away from Amazon. And if you were, who would care? But you're not taking any sales away from Amazon by being on other platforms. So
I'll say Amazon would care if you're taking sales away from them.
Amazon might care, but that's not going to break my heart.
Yep.
All right. So we're, oh, here we are. I almost overlooked a couple of questions. Here's one from Lexi. Asks, when you write superhero stories, are the tropes or themes you find most enjoyable to explore in the, maybe I'm misreading this. Are there tropes or themes you find most enjoyable to explore in that genre? What are your favorite tropes and themes? I think I'm butchering the question. So
I think I understand it. Don't worry. So yeah, I guess my favorite tropes or themes. I like the action. Since I like it when I can write fight scenes and use their powers in creative ways. That's one of the main things about superheroes is that with their powers they can it can make you can add some variety to fight scenes and make them all different, interesting. So I always like that. I also like figuring out different ways to make the secret identity trope work. And
like someone discover the hero's identity, and you have to keep it hidden, or what?
It depends on the book and the series. In some series, the main character keeps their identity hidden. Other ones, it's more open. So it depends, So it's always fun to come up with new ways to play with that.
I had an idea. So I am interested in writing superhero fiction. I've tinkered with it from time to time, but I had this idea of a hero with a public identity, but also a secret identity. So publicly, everyone knows that this superhero is, Joe Smith, but he also has a secret identity that where he has like a family and kids and things like that, and nobody knows what it is. And I thought that would be interesting because he's got to juggle 3 identities.
Oh yeah, that's definitely different. I'd be interested to read a story like that. So if you're around writing it, just let me know.
Well, everyone watching and listening, if you'd like to hear that story or see that story written, send $1 to Kevin at no, I'll get to it eventually. Well, we're wrapping up, man. Actually, I'm going to pop this one last comment up here. This isn't a question per se, but we can talk about it. Apple's bookstore is a problem also. Can't find many genres right off the bat. And that's been my experience too. And I think that's the difference between Apple, Kobo, and others and Amazon. Amazon is the world's best camouflaged search engine. It's really what it comes down to. What's been your experience there?
Yeah, like I said, Apple's always is not one of my. I've always had trouble trying to crack it. That's that's reason why I started to go wide is hoping that maybe that will help with sales there, but I don't know for sure, and I'm still trying to figure out how to market that.
They're a great store, but it is all about the promotion. You've got to get out there and market directly to Apple readers, which can be a little tricky, but once you kind of find your pocket there, I think it's one of the better vendors, one of the better retailers. Apple and Kobo are kind of my favorites. But. All right, well, look, we're at time, man. Appreciate you sticking around, hanging with us, and chatting with us, man.
Yeah, it was great. Thanks for having me on.
You got it. All right, everybody else out there, make sure you go and give Timothy some love if you visit his website at lucasflint.com. That's a cool pen name, but lucasflint.com, where you can find his work. I'm sure you can find pretty much everything there, right?
Yeah, I can link to all my books and stuff. I've even got like a reading guide, like with reading order for series, and where you can find them all. You can download for free off my website. It's also on all the retailers. So.
Okay, I need to do that. I'm gonna steal that idea from you. All right, so go check that out. And of course, if you are watching us on the YouTube or Facebook live channels, make sure that you are subscribing to us. Subscribe on YouTube. Click the notification bell to be alerted when new broadcasts, new episodes go live. And you can do the same thing on Facebook. Facebook.com/draftedigital. And that will let you find whenever we do one of these, you can actually set a reminder and be alerted for when that goes live. And you go to youtube.com/draftedigital to follow us there. And of course, we make it a little easier on you if you'll just go bookmark d2dlive.com. You'll get a little countdown every time a new broadcast is coming. So just go check that out, bookmark that, and we will be able to see you live. So Timothy, thanks again for being on. Everybody else, thank you for tuning in, and we will see you all next time.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. See you all later. Bye.
All right. See you.